Welcome to the Only in Movies podcast. I'm your host, Onari, coming to you from Austin, Texas.
And I'm your host, Amato, coming to you from Buffalo, New York. And in this podcast, we break down scenes and discuss things that happen only in movies. Welcome back, listeners.
Hello.
What's poppin'?
Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Only in Movies Pod to find out what movie we'll be covering on our upcoming episodes. Watch ahead and send us your suggestions for scenes that should make our Only in Movies list, and also for a chance for your suggestion to make it on the show.
All right, everybody. This week's movie, Annihilation, directed by Alex Garland, starring Natalie Portman, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson. I love me some Tessa Thompson. Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Oscar Isaac. Go ahead.
We're going to add our preferences, and I love me some Gina. And Natalie Portman as well, to be fair.
I was going to say, yeah. I do love Gina. Natalie Portman's all right. I love Tessa Thompson. I love Creed. I love everything Tessa Thompson does. She's in Infinity War. She's just great. A little bit about this movie. A biologist signs up for a dangerous, secret expedition with a group of scientists. They head into a mysterious, quarantined area called the Shimmer, containing mutating plants and animals where the laws of nature don't apply. All right. This movie had a budget of $40 million. It made $32 million domestic.
Wow.
So I can honestly say I made more money last year than this movie did. Significantly more. I made significantly more money last year than this movie did. And it wasn't really that bad of a movie. I was actually kind of surprised.
You made significantly more money than $32 million?
No. The budget is 40. They made 32. That means they lost 8.
Oh, I got it.
I made significantly more. Yes, absolutely. I'm sticking. That's my bar, and I'm standing behind it. Call me Ted Danson. I definitely made significantly more than this movie did last year. In the box office, at least. And again, just domestic. Worldwide, it made a little bit more. Not significantly more.
Worldwide, it actually got stunted because of the performance. They took it kind of straight to
Netflix?
Straight to streaming. Yeah. Netflix. Yeah, they didn't want to mess with the theaters. They were like, all right, let's wrap this up.
Wrap it up, B. Wrap it up.
Wrap that shit up.
Quick thoughts. Did you know this was based on a trilogy of books?
I did not. During research, I found out, trilogy called The Southern Reach.
Yes, which is actually kind of an Easter egg in this movie.
Well, they mentioned that, the Southern Reach of like the zone or whatever.
Yeah, that's the name of the headquarters.
Yes.
It's the Southern Reach's headquarters when they get there. But did you get the information that the movie was made before the last 2 books of the trilogy were completed?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The fact that the director chose to purposely not read the other 2 books once they had come out so that he can continue with his original interpretation or his original adaptation.
I don't know that I love that thought, though, personally.
I've seen it before. I mean, most recently, you've seen that from like Game of Thrones, and I guess they got some inspiration from it.
How did that turn out?
We can't compare.
But didn't George Martin give them kind of what he was going to do, though, didn't he?
Very
a high-level overview.
High-level general.
Yeah, 30,000-foot view. But a little bit more than what this guy. This guy had nothing, right?
So it's not unheard of. And I did become intrigued to read the books now and see how maybe the story of the books would compare to the movie.
Yeah, I'm going to make my daughter read it.
Damn. She's going to do research for you?
Yeah, that's her job. I pay her phone bill. She reads books and tells me about them. Sounds fair.
That's a pretty good trade-off. You get to read more books, educate yourself. Piggybacking off that, this is the second time I watched this movie, and it was still pretty interesting the second time around.
Definitely an intriguing story. Definitely pretty interesting.
And something I didn't catch in the beginning of last time, because it happens so faintly, at least to me. Well, one part is faint and the other part is more obvious, but I still don't quite remember that happening. Maybe I missed it. When the actual material from space crash lands in the lighthouse, like the first opening scene of the movie.
I missed that.
Oh, see? So it's not just me.
Yeah, no, I missed that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
See? So, be aware, people. Pay attention.
Okay.
I missed this the first time that I watched the movie as well. I caught it now, but I believe it's the first thing you see is like a meteor type of...
So I guess that assuages one of my complaints was like, this just came out of nowhere. That's what I...
Right, and that's how I watched it first time. I was like, I don't really understand where this thing is coming from. I mean, I know where it's coming from, but why?
Right.
But now, and you understand by the end of the movie that it is alien beings,
Right.
but not exactly how they got there or anything like that.
Right, okay.
So this was something that I definitely missed and I caught in the first one, and it's an immediate hit directly to the lighthouse, and then you actually see the shimmer begin to emanate out from the lighthouse.
Okay.
Very, very faintly. So that, like you said, tied a lot of strings together for me from the first
I might have
watch.
thought that was like the intro of the movie, like the tiger roaring or something.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was very subtle.
Okay.
It just lands, you see that, and then it cuts. So it totally could be confused for like, one of the production company logos or like pre-rolls. So yeah, do you want to get into your first scene?
All right. So my first scene, I'm gonna start with. So at first, I didn't think there was a ton of only a movie scenes in this movie. I thought there was as we discussed for a little bit beforehand. I thought there was a good amount of funny stuff.
Definitely.
A few come on fams.
I was pleasantly surprised because I was waiting for them kind of, and I was like, you know what? We're pretty important to the movie.
They didn't
and I
go
haven't
off
found
the
that many.
ledge. Yeah, they didn't jump.
No.
They didn't jump the shark. Time out. Do you know where the term "jump the shark" comes from?
At some point I knew, but the internet makes me forget things.
Happy Days. In the episode of Happy Days, the Fonz jumps the shark. And I actually remember watching this episode of Happy Days when I was young because I adored Happy Days. And I remember watching that episode and being like, this is kind of ridiculous. And then as we grew older, that became the go-to term for just doing something crazy in a TV show or movie.
I never liked that term.
If you saw that episode, you would be like, ah.
I think it's overused.
Oh, I can see that. Yes. My first scene was when Lena first starts meeting up with Dr. Ventress and
Lena being played by Natalie Portman.
And Dr. Ventress being played by Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yep.
They get into stuff. And she says, I need to see a lawyer. And she tells her, you're not going to be able to see a lawyer. And then she just is like, all right then. And just starts answering questions.
No. I'm going to have to, because I had this as well. I'm going to have to defend my girl, Natalie Portman. I thought she came with it. When she gets brought into the room, or she wakes up in the room, she comes with the right questions compared to, in comparison to the chick from Unsane.
Right. Why are you detaining me? Right.
I want to know what the fuck I'm doing here. I want to see a lawyer. She was honest, so she had the right questions.
She tried to lawyer up quick.
Get a lawyer. She even looked at the guy with the gun outside, and she was like, why am I even talking to you?
Right. Right. But then the chick said,
she was like, all right, let's go.
You're not going to be able to see a lawyer. She was like, all right then, fuck it. All right. She didn't say, why not? Who are you? I need some more information.
Can you show me some identification?
Right. No ID. And then she started saying, like, you stopped making information requests 6 months ago. I would have been a little bit taken aback and paused a little bit and said, I'm not going to give you any more information. I'm good here.
You seem to know a lot about me.
Right. I think you're good.
I was paying close attention to that scene because of what we just experienced
not
Unsane,
too long ago.
Yeah. But I thought she did a pretty good job. It's still, at the end of the day, they always somehow acquiesce and just go along.
Right, like how long could they make the scene? It can't be 30 minutes of her going, no, bring me a lawyer. I said lawyer. So this movie's a 14-hour documentary on asking for a lawyer.
Interrogation tactics.
People in real life, if you ask for a lawyer, you wait for your motherfucking lawyer to get there before you say a damn thing. Just want to throw that out there.
2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours. I literally had this conversation with Liz last week. We were watching When They See Us. I was like, don't ever talk until you get your lawyer in the room, no matter what.
So speaking of that, my dad's a New York City cop. Well, he was a New York City cop. He's retired now. And he was a cop during that era. And I never understood. Watching that made me understand why he stressed that so much to me. Like, don't say shit. You don't got a lawyer? I'm not there. Even if I'm there, you don't got a lawyer? Don't say shit if you're being detained. And I'm like, oh. Because an 80-year-old model didn't understand that.
No.
Yeah.
I forgot how we got here, but yeah.
Good job. Good job there. That's how you wrap up a topic. So that was my scene. That was my first scene that I chose. What about you? Did you have that as a scene, or was that one of your come on fams? So
that was one of my funny stuff, actually. Okay. Because, like I said, I thought she did a great job of actually standing up at first. And it was pretty quick at first. And then, of course, they all bowed down eventually. But my first scene was actually a little further along. Once they go into the Shimmer, they wake up. They're not sure where they are. They start exploring. And Josie, played by Tessa Thompson.
Go Tessa.
She gets...
Go Tessa.
Yo, not in this case. She gets grabbed up by some being inside of the hut, and their reactions were insane to me. They were all like, huh? Like, what? So yes, that was just someone snatched that was just standing in front of you into a hut. You should all probably go help her or get the fuck out of the way and get out of there. Either or, but you can't just stand there looking dumbfounded at what just happened to you.
So she was grabbed by the what I've named the Shimmer Gator.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yes. We have the Shimmer Gator. Eventually, we'll probably talk about the Shimmer Bear.
And these are not shiny animals.
No, these are very not shiny or awesome animals. So first off, earlier in the movie, they ask Lena when she's being interrogated what happened to Josie. So you know something's gonna happen to Josie. You know Josie's dying at some point. But I for some reason knew this wasn't when she was gonna die. I was like, no, they're pushing it. This is too early.
It's too early, yeah. Which is surprising because black folks don't fare too well in these kind of movies.
But they had a black person and a Latino, so somebody was gonna have to make it. to like late in the movie or not, but
it's the ethnic Hunger Games.
Right. I thought the Shimmer Gator was scary as fuck. I was like, oh, I like how they did that. It had the shark teeth. Then you had to wonder whether it was a crossbreed, and she was like, no, sharks and gators can't crossbreed, and you're like, duh. I've never seen a shark hump a gator, right?
I mean, never seen it, and even if they did, that's none of your business.
Right? Who am I to judge? So, and then that's when they start talking about the waves in the gene pool. So, yeah, I agree. Their reaction was nuts, though. But then that's when they show Lena, 'cause Lena's about that life. And she will bust her gun, as we say.
Yo, that scene when she drops to her knee and she's just letting it
loose,
out.
Yeah.
Stone face. I was like, ooh, got a little chills there.
Yeah, like she didn't hesitate. She was like, oh, no, this is coming at me. I'm going to have to shoot it in the face numerous times.
Yeah, everybody else is like, oh, Jesus, what's my gun jammed and all this. She's like, no, I got this.
No, right.
Hold my beer.
You're right.
I found it interesting that you referenced the fact that they were interviewing her in the beginning of the movie. So this movie plays out a little bit, not out of order. Well, out of order, yes, because you're watching the interview with Lena at the end of the entire occurrence.
It definitely occurs out of order. This movie, it definitely occurs in numerous places. It's out of order.
Yeah, that's true because she does flashbacks as well. She's having she's remembering things. It definitely does play out of order.
Yeah, we're both confused. So out of order, I think, was accurate based on the conversation we're having.
Yeah, so maybe not even a little bit, but yeah, pretty out of order. And that actually keeps you guessing a little bit as to what exactly is going on because they're giving you some details in the future, and then you're seeing what happened in the past, but they're not really divulging everything at once, and you are left to kind of put things together with the little details that they're slipping out piecemeal. And I thought that was a good way of doing that instead of having these like huge revelations. Like they what I got from the movie was that they barely understood what was going on, and even when they finally did, they still didn't really understand how it was happening,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So yeah, that was my scene, the Shimmer Gator getting poor Josie.
So my next scene is when they start discussing whether they should go back or head to the coast, right?
Yes, that's a discussion, yeah. I didn't have that one, but
to me,
that was the interesting one.
That was kind of ridiculous because she hit them with what we call the okie doke. She said,
"Yeah, got him."
It's right. It's 6 days back, but 2 days to the coast. But as we get closer to the coast, we'll be closer to the edge, and then it'll be easier for us to get out. First of all,
that was her logic.
The closer to the coast you get, the more monsters and the more extreme the mutations you're going to see.
Yeah, they established that pretty early on. Look, they say, hey, the further we move in, the more crazy these things are getting. I'm like, so that was established, yeah.
So they're going to find a man-bear pig. And then she's like, I'm fine going on my own. And I was just like, wow, she's brave as shit. She is.
So I got this.
But so I just thought like her whole math and the fact they didn't listen to her math, let her explain to them that they're just going to walk further in to the thing that they're scared of and they're trying to get away from. And they were just like, okay. And then eventually they're like, you lied to us. Duh. It's like, you could have went home, stupid.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. But that was kind of their point.
Possibly, right. We don't know if they would have made it back, but they had a better chance making it. Based on what we saw, they had a better chance making it back.
Yeah, I think they were fucked either way. But if you give me the odds of 2 days and I'm out in 2 days versus 6 days worth of shit that I've been experiencing. Like, I'll take my chances
Yeah,
in 2 days.
but-
I know I'm probably definitely not gonna make 6 days.
But why do we have to enter at a specific point if we can exit anywhere we want? Why didn't we enter closer to the lighthouse if that was an option?
That's a great point. I don't know.
So,
Unless they were following the steps of the last people.
right, I'm good. Why did we just enter? Why wouldn't we enter 2 days closer or 6 days closer?
Just drop me off right next to the lighthouse. I'll check the shit out.
Right, if that's an option.
I'll be back before lunch.
That's what I would have been like, no, your math is fucked up. I'm not playing with you.
Yeah, I was a little messy. I would have been like, yo, I'm in there. I'm taking some flicks and I'm out.
Right.
Matter of fact, tether me. All right. I want you to yank. I want you to yank me out, and I give you 2 tugs. That was actually one of my come on fam scenes. Like they walked in at that point, whatever location it was, pretty much right in front of the base camp or like the staging area for the feds, and not one of them just thought to like, hey, why don't I just try walking right back out and see if I still can.
For me, I thought about, I don't know if you ever played an RPG game, any RPGs, if you're into RPGs.
Yeah, I have.
So
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy in an RPG that knows I'm going to advance a little and then go back and buy all, like advance, heal, go back, buy all the stuff I need, advance a little more, heal, go back, get all the stuff I need. So it's going to take me forever.
Level up.
Yeah, it's going to take me forever, but I'm going to get to my goal. I thought about that too. Why not just, every time you get a little further, you check in, you go back. Nobody even considered that.
From what I saw, no one thought about that. Like when they woke up with the camp and they all didn't remember anything. At that point, they could have probably gone back.
Yeah.
And been like, all right, so we've realized that we are forgetting all our memories. So that's a problem. We should probably try to maybe keep a record, or maybe come back with like cameras that record themselves as opposed to just recording out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like body cams or something.
Have a plan.
Your plan was to just tough it out all the way through and hope that you make it. I mean, it's not surprising that so many people went in and died and didn't make it back. They were attacking this thing like brute force.
So you talked about when they walked into the Shimmer. I have one of my notes is right before they walked in the Shimmer, they look like a bootleg Ghostbusters with their guns in their backpacks.
Wow, that's fucking. I have the exact same fucking note. I have when they're going into the Shimmer, they look like Ghostbusters.
They look
My nigga,
bootleg Ghostbusters.
That's funny. We had the same fucking note.
I was like, oh wow. Look at them.
The way, I don't know. They had to have seen that when they lined them up that way, because they were all like
holding
the way they were holding the guns.
Yeah,
they looked like the fucking.
We had a moment.
Don't cross the streams.
Excuse us, everybody.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so my next scene is when they're outside of the previous group's command center. So this is the group that went in right before them that, only the husband made it out. And they're at the command center and they find the schedule of the patrols and they're like, they were patrolling, we should patrol. And I was like, why would you just automatically assume that what they were doing, which obviously did not end so
work,
well,
right?
Is the right thing to do or to continue doing.
That's a really good point.
That was the beginning of that. Like let's do exactly what the people that didn't make it out did.
Because if they would have stayed not patrolling, they might not have got eaten by the bear.
They could have done anything else.
To stand outside.
They literally did exactly what the other group did.
Okay.
So that was the first part of that scene that I was like, what? And then after that, when they are patrolling, Lena wakes up and she peeks outside and she looks surprised to not find a person that's supposed to be patrolling on the tower. And then you see that the person that was supposed to be patrolling, Dr. Ventress, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's downstairs. And I had so many questions. Like when Lena went downstairs, first of all, why did she even go downstairs? And then when you got there, why wasn't the first thing you said, why are you here? You're supposed to be up on the tower. And then also, when the beef broke out, why did they all run down from the watchtower to get into the
vulnerable position?
Right. Instead of them all running up, the ones that were in an advantageous position decided to just go down the steps and join the fray.
So I have a couple notes about that scene. So first off, as we pointed out, that headquarters was the Southern Reach headquarters, which is the name of the book trilogy. The whole when they look at the video and the dude's intestines are moving, that was nuts.
that was pretty crazy.
That was really an intense moment. And then Gina,
it didn't look like intestines, it looked like goddamn tubing.
Yeah.
Like
and Gina
like
Rodriguez is screaming, it's a trick of the light, it's a trick of the light. And then I have when they get down to the pool, they see the torso hanging out of a butthole, because that's what that thing looked like to me. It looked like a butthole.
It took me a second. I was like, what? I was like, oh yeah. No,
There's a couple of buttholes in this movie. There's actually I have the butthole sequence of buttholes, but we'll get there.
Yeah, how the intestine thing was trippy, and they somehow seem to be completely okay with the whole torso of the guy, 30 feet in the air, spread out and mutated. I was like, that was more jarring to me than the intestines.
The whole thing was just had me okay,
it was pretty
I'm going home, guys.
Bad.
We've established Amato's a punk, right? So I'm like, peace. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
Tell me how this turns out. So then we find out I thought it was interesting that they did the whole self-destruction speech, and we found out that Dr. Ventress has cancer. I thought that was very interesting in how this movie plays out. And then we find Shimmer Bear, and Shimmer Bear is no joke. And we'll get into a little bit more of Shimmer Bear's actions as we go through this movie. But that leads me to one of my come on fams real quick is she finds the shoe. She finds Cassie.
Yeah.
So she finds Cassie's leg and shoe and goes, she could still be alive. She's probably not alive, fam. And then she finds her.
Like Dr. Ventress is like, nope, she's dead.
No. Then she finds her and she's like, oh, she's dead. But
yeah, what did you expect?
But even if you find her, she's missing a leg. So what were your plans to carry her? But she was about to go fight Shimmer Bear head on. She was really ready. She had no fear.
Yeah, Lena was about it. She was like the scientist. I guess she was the one
with military experience. Yeah, that was important. I'm glad that they told us that too, and didn't just leave us to assume that she was just tough as
she did some personal training.
Yeah. Yeah, she went to a dojo. So now we're going to Come On Fams, which are just scenes that we thought were just crazy. Just like, come on, fam. That didn't make any sense. And then we'll talk about some of the things we thought were funny, and then we'll go into our reviews. So one of my Come On Fam was that Lena was cheating on her husband with, I can't even remember his name. I don't know his name. I didn't even look for his name.
Dave?
Wasn't it? Dan. It was Dan. I have it written down. I'm lying.
Yeah.
So she's cheating on her husband with Dan, who's a black dude, who happens to be cheating on his wife. So he's talking to Lena. Dan and Lena having this big conversation, and he says, my wife is blameless. I'm like, fam, you out cheating. Your wife got to be doing something wrong. There has to be some blame that she needs to be taking in this situation.
Well, I'm not going on that ledge. That's all you, Amato.
And he ruined the new movement of black men not cheating because black men don't cheat. So
making us look bad.
Right. Come on, fam. He doesn't know about the movement. I was very upset with that. That upset me.
Ruined our good name.
Yeah. I'm out in these streets. Okay, so you could go.
One of my Come On Fam scenes was the ambulance scene at the beginning of the movie, when her husband is being transported to the hospital after he starts bleeding. The way that the feds
just roll up,
showed up with all the guns and drama for EMTs and a professor. I was like, what? I understand, with the husband, since he was, AWOL, all right, they want to make sure. But they rolled through there pointing guns at the EMT, pointing guns like to their heads. I was like, all right, relax. They're driving to the hospital. Why would they roll up with so much aggression?
So let's take that a step further. What happened to the EMTs? They didn't go to the news and be like, hey, we were driving.
They're dead.
That's what I figured. They're dead. But there were no other witnesses. They were the only cars on the road. Nobody noticed this madness.
Very convenient.
Yeah, super convenient. They must have been on the same road that Halloween took place on.
Yeah.
The Halloween escape. There's just nobody's there, and they just kept it moving.
Yeah, because you saw, armed people on the road coming out of a all-black SUV. Just
out.
Taking an actual patient out of the freaking ambulance.
God, he must have did something wrong.
I want no parts of that.
No, if I don't know him, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that was a scene that I found to be a little out there.
So one of the scenes I thought was funny was when Gina Rodriguez, who's playing Anya, is holding everybody hostage, and she's like, you're a liar. I didn't see a bear. There might not even been a bear. What kind of bear? There's no bear. And then Shimmer Bear shows up.
Like, you're
using Cassie's voice, which was
that was creepy as fuck.
So first off, the Shimmer Bear's face is just creepy. When it's screaming, the human voice was creepy as fuck. And all I could think was, you see the bear now, don't you? Yeah.
It's like, what's good? I heard you was talking shit on my name.
Right. You said I wasn't real. What's up now? So this morning, I'm driving to work. So I might have finished this movie. I think I finished it last night. Either last night or the night before. And I'm driving to work this morning. And I live in a relatively populated area. And there's a fox crossing the street with what looks like an apple in its mouth. And it looked kind of creepy like Shimmer Bear. And I was like, whoa. Whoa.
Whoa, the Shimmer's here.
Yeah, like this is nuts. What the fuck is going on? I don't have time for this. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't need this in my brain.
I thought Anya going off was just nuts. Lena woke up to the gun in her face. She tied everybody up.
Anya had a couple of good lines. Gina, I like when she was in going back a little bit when they were having the conversation about going back or moving forward. Lena goes to Anya, yeah, if you like, and she goes, no, I don't fucking like. She had the attitude.
I loved her energy, right?
Set.
Yeah, this is wild.
She probably was the only one with the adequate response to all the crazy shit happening.
I thought the way they explained the shimmer of it refracting everything, so it's refracting light, it's refracting radio, it's refracting genes, it's a prism, I thought was really interesting and like a really good concept.
Yes, overall, I think they nailed a lot of key points, which is like we mentioned, and that premise was pretty original to me, and I actually enjoyed it. And visually, what they did with a lot of like the plants, what they did with the animals,
the water was like shimmery.
It was dope.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. There was a lot of visually stunning moments that you were like, wow, they made a different world. It's a different world.
Something else I found funny was in the beginning of the movie when Lena's husband shows up, Kane. She starts like interrogating him, and I found she's doing the nagging wife thing of continuing to ask questions even though the husband has no answers.
I didn't know if I was gonna bring this up, but she's rough. Like he's like, I don't know, and she's like, what do you mean you don't know? What do you mean you don't know? I'm like, damn, he don't know.
You was with them bitches? Huh?
Let me see your phone.
Why don't you call me? Yeah. You couldn't find a charger?
I know Tyshawn had a charger.
I was in the desert. Desert ain't got no chargers. So that whole section was pretty. I was laughing because she was like, "Oh, she's not letting up."
No,
he's just sitting there all like down.
Not himself. You know, he's not himself. So we talked about the original torso hanging out the butthole. Then she goes to find the Shimmer butthole. I
see what you mean now.
I thought that was hilarious that she had to crawl down the Shimmer butthole.
First of all, I'm not going into that hole. Fuck that.
Hell no. Hell for nothing.
I won't go into a hole in regular ass woods. I'm going to a hole in an alien fucking lighthouse. Come on.
What's funny was right before that when she watches the video. Obviously, I think it was everybody knew that the twin was gonna be there. I was like, oh, that wasn't a twist at all. And then she just jumps down the butthole and she's just all up in the butthole looking for the Annihilation.
Well, you knew the twin wasn't gonna be there because he said, "Am I you or am I me?" Or
right.
Because you had just.
Oh no! The whole time I knew it was the twin. The whole as soon as they started recording, I knew it was a twin. I knew it was.
The first time I watched it, I didn't catch that it was.
Yeah, I had it. I knew he wasn't him at the end of the movie. And then once Dr. Ventress, I knew he wasn't him at the beginning of the movie. So I knew there was something that he wasn't the original him.
He was off. Yeah. Because he barely remembered. He was like, yeah, I guess.
Right.
I just thought it was like the actual person, but he was off. Not that it was a completely different person.
So I kind of knew. Well, I knew. I even said it. I wrote it down, actually. Camera facing body, her husband, and then I put twin. I knew it. Well, I put camera facing body. I knew the body was her husband immediately.
Yeah, that I didn't know, yeah.
And then I knew there would be a twin because if that body's her husband, where was the twin? Who else could have been? I wrote that down as soon as I saw the body. I wrote down the body's her husband, so I knew the twin would come out. So then we have Shimmerlina. So Shimmerlina is the copy of Lena. The last thing that frustrated me was how long it took her to realize that the Shimmer was mirroring all of her actions.
They drew that out way too long with the dancing and stepping. The being is doing what you are doing.
But then she runs against the wall, and the thing runs against the wall on top of her. And not to attack her, because it's just mirroring all of her actions.
The harder she pressed to get out, the harder it was pressing. It was like, you need to relax. You're doing too much.
Right. I did that frustrated me that it took her so long to realize.
Sorry, I did think that Shimmer Lena looked a lot like the Michael Jackson in the what video is that?
Remember the time when he turns into the? Is it Remember the time when he at the end he turns into the liquid like Terminator and bounces? I'm good. I'm black as fuck. I was like,
yeah, why is that like Michael Jackson vibes when it was forming into the shape of a person?
So we're gonna go into reviews. I'll start. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought I was really surprised that it did so bad in the theater, and it had a great budget, and it looks like they spent that budget well to create the Shimmer and the animals in the Shimmer, the flora in the Shimmer. I just thought it was a well crafted, well created. I liked the story. I liked the explanation of the refraction and the prism. I thought that was really unique and different. Of course, it was derived from a book. So again, as you said, I'm interested in the book and how it plays out differently in the book than in the movie. And obviously, a trilogy has way more time. A book in and of itself is way more time than a movie to flesh stuff out. But a trilogy has just an infinite amount more time to flesh it out, get that story really explained. And so I'm actually a little bit intrigued by that. I didn't really not like much about this movie. We could talk about the ending after you give your review. We could stop and talk about the ending. I think that's the maybe the only thing I didn't love.
Yeah, that was probably the weakest part for me as well. So we can get into that a little deeper at the end of this.
Yeah, that to me that was the only really thing I wasn't really into. It kept me engaged. Told me a good story, kept it going from beginning to end, had a good amount of action, had surprising action, had well-crafted monsters. So I enjoyed this movie. I would recommend people see it.
Definitely. I knew about this movie because of Gina. I followed Gina and I saw she was on it. I was like, oh, interesting. And I'm glad I did check it out. Like you said, it wasn't very popular. You didn't really see it in the movie theaters much because once movies start doing bad, they just take them off or they cut their show times. But the story was really captivating. I thought that it had a really interesting premise. Like you mentioned, the refraction, that's original. I thought it was visually stunning as well. The Shimmer animals were dope, and even stunning in like a horrific way, because that Shimmer bear as we covered I couldn't have thought about that.
If I was a kid, I would probably have nightmares about the Shimmer bear.
The Shimmer bear and that voice. I remember I watched this movie with Liz. Liz was freaked out by that screaming bear.
And then when it comes into the room and it gets into Tessa Thompson's face and screams in her face.
I thought the creepiest section of that was when it opened his mouth and it didn't start off the scream. It was like finishing it, if that makes sense. It was like halfway through a scream.
Yeah.
So that I was like, oh Jesus. So it just like controls the voice the whole time. It's not even like it has like a pre-recorded message. It's like, no, I can play it from at any point.
Yeah, that was intense.
So yeah, visually stunning. Speaking of visually stunning, also aside from the animals, that scene in the lighthouse where the being was kind of fluctuating and it had like the techno music kind of coming in quickly. I don't know if you remember that scene.
Not when Ventress explodes.
After Ventress explodes, that it's kind of like, it looks like an eye or a butthole, so,
like the spinning butthole. You mean?
Yes.
Oh yes, the spinning butthole. Yeah, yes. I thought Ventress exploding was like just nuts to watch. It was crazy to watch. And then the spinning butthole came out of it.
The movie kept me guessing. The fact that it was also, as you covered, out of order was interesting as well. I think it added a lot to the movie and carrying out the story that way. The acting I was a fan of. A part that I didn't love was the dialogue. So the acting was good with the dialogue that they did have, but the dialogue I think wasn't great. And I think that's mainly because the movie was good, if that makes any sense. The movie was good, so I wanted more from the actual dialogue, and they didn't flesh that out fully.
Right. Yep, I could see that.
To be fair, it left enough, wanting from it being a pleasant experience, and now I want to follow up on the books and find out about that. But I would have loved to hear them talk more about how they were feeling and what they were experiencing. They all kind of kept to themselves for the most part, even when they were in the Shimmer. And, the ending, I will also echo your sentiments. It wasn't great to me. It was kind of convoluted. It was too long. And even after a second watching, I understand more, I think, the ending, but I'm still not 100% there, but intrigued.
Okay, so let's discuss this ending.
Let's do it.
So one thing I thought was really important is that she said, it mirrored me, I attacked it.
Yes.
And that it's not destroying, it was changing.
Yes, and as you mentioned, like a couple of times in this movie, they mentioned self-destruction, and even Lena in the beginning of the movie, she mentions how we would be immortal if it wasn't for part of our cells that actually has like a
cells don't die. Aging is a
Yes.
fault in our genes.
yes.
I thought that was
So-
very important. I thought that was, and I thought that was actually very interesting. Aside from the movie, that if you really consider that, that's absolutely true. I don't know about the fault aging being a fault in our genes, but cells technically don't die.
Yeah, so
I thought that was very interesting.
and I kept that in my mind as I was watching the movie, just trying to find like all the Easter eggs. It was a good movie for that because they drop things kind of casually, but then you see that it is actually important later on.
And yeah, it meant something. First off, I think it's important to understand that they took an ending of a book that was a trilogy and adapted that to be the ending of this movie.
Well, let's break it down further. He actually made this ending, so they didn't take the ending of a book.
Right. That's important. Yes, he did. He made this ending, so this is not the ending of how the book would end.
No, and apparently, I found this through the research because, like I said, I was intrigued by this movie. When it finished, I read about it. I was trying to find out more information. This wasn't the actual original ending. The studio, the executive producer had final cut, and he changed a couple of things in the movie.
Oh, now I'm interested to see what the original ending would have been.
I know. I wish you could see original cuts of movies, but that made me interested for multiple reasons. One, the movie came out pretty good the way it did come out. They made general overarching changes into like simplifying things because they thought it was, as always, a lot of studios think they think it's too smart, too complicated. So they made those changes, and then they also changed the ending of the movie, and it was so bad that there was actually like a feud between the director and the executive producer because the director thought it was bullshit that they were making all these changes.
So do you think that it was Lena or Shimmer Lena who was hugging Kane at the end of the movie?
I think it was Lena hugging Kane at the end of the movie, but the key difference being here is that she established in the movie, and I say key difference between Kane coming out Shimmer Kane and her coming out Lena, but she's still technically Shimmer Lena because she mentioned that it's inside of her. And They all did at that point.
I agree with that. So she's changed.
Right. So even though the Shimmer version of her didn't come out, she technically is Shimmer version. That's why, when he's talking to the camera, he's like, are you me or am I you? No, we're all one at this point. She is Shimmer Lena, no matter who would have come out.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Shimmer isn't dead.
The Shimmer isn't dead. The Shimmer isn't dead because it was already out.
With Kane.
And then now she's also Shimmer Lena being out as well. What intrigued me is, are they going to continue to change their surroundings?
Well, I don't think so because it seemed like because of the flash grenade to the original Shimmer Lena, that people were able to enter and exit the Shimmer pretty seamlessly now. They were able to get to the lighthouse. They were able to see the lighthouse was in ashes. So where is this originating from? Are they going to just, you know what I'm saying? Like how could they even spread the Shimmer?
I would think maybe from their own bodies emanating, but I think the more likely result of the movie is that they're just changed beings, and maybe now they're immortal, like she said.
Well, maybe, right.
Because the one thing we always see in her cells is that her cells are still duplicating, but now they're duplicating as Shimmer cells.
That was what I got from it.
Yeah. What did you think about the whole phosphorus grenade and the death part, like how it destroyed everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I didn't really have an understanding of it. It caught on fire and she burned everything down. So how did you interpret it?
So the way I looked at it was, she tried shooting it and nothing happened. What I understood that is the phosphorus grenade blowing up and the Shimmer being holding it. If it was refracting everything, then what it started to do was refract. It looked like anyways, refract the parts of the phosphorus that was burning into all the things around it. The lighthouse, into all the trees that were everywhere.
You're way better at this than I am.
You get where I'm going with this though?
Yeah, I do. But that was way too. Yeah, I would have never considered that. I wouldn't even started to think about that
because the way it was like a slow spread. It wasn't like
right. No, yeah,
like
I understand what you're saying. It refracted that energy everywhere, and it continuously refracted it and destroyed everything.
Right, and that's kind of why you see it. Like I at first watch, I didn't understand why it was like slowly dying. Like why not just like stop, drop, and roll, bro? It was like letting the fire kind of slowly consume it. But if that's what it does as a being, then you can't really stop that. You know what I mean? So That was my understanding of it. But again, second watch, and I'm still intrigued, and I don't fully understand the ending as well. So I'm definitely gonna head to the books.
Okay. So make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Only a Movies Pod.
Also, let us know what movies you want us to cover in the future by responding to our Instagram story questions or leaving a comment on any of our pages. We are definitely feeling the love. We're feeling the interactions.
Join us next time for more things that happen only in movies.